Hey, Cody here, and thanks for joining me today. If you're looking for a way to generate more clients into your digital consulting business or your digital marketing business, then you're in the right place. I think you're going to get a lot out of this presentation today. So what I'm going to cover today is pretty much the methodology and the mindset and stuff like that I was able to use to build a $50,000 per month business with, it was actually PPC clients for me, but this is going to work for SEO, SEM, any kind of digital services that you're offering. Is going to work just fine for you. But I'm going to share with you how I was able to get to $50,000 a month in only 4 months from a standing start. So before I do that, I just want to show you that I'm telling the truth here, and I don't really like to do this, to be honest, but I kind of need to, because there's a lot of people that make a lot of claims, and I guess if you're making claims, you really need to substantiate that and back that up. So if we head over to my Xero account here, I'm just going to refresh the screen here so you can see that this is live. It's not photoshopped or anything like that, and you can see that in June was $29,000, $30,000 there revenue. July was $55,000, almost $56,000 of revenue, and then August was $30,000. Again, it kind of dropped off a little bit here because I made a few mistakes, and I'm going to share with you what those mistakes were so you can avoid them. But you can see here for sure that we've gone from pretty much nothing in February up to $55,000 in July, so that's pretty good, right? And you can come down here and you can see that this is my business account, and as of today, which is November 7th, you can see there's actually $142,000, almost $143,000 in that account. So that's pretty good, right? This is not too bad. Also, I've got multiple accounts, so that's what I use for my Australian clients. That's my Australian business account. For the US and overseas, I use Stripe mostly, and as you can see, there's $158,000 has gone into that particular account there. And if we look here, we can see again today we're in November, and if we go back, we just scoot back here, we can see that we actually can't go back any further than February. So this has all been generated between February and November, as has all of this, right? So we're talking actually, and I've got PayPal accounts as well, so I think you get the idea. The goal here is not to show you how amazing I am and how much money I make, and I just want to show you that you can really make a lot of money in a very short period of time. And I think if you put the Stripe account and the Xero account together here, and if I added the PayPal account in there as well, then we're looking at close to $70,000, $80,000 a month in revenue. And that's been generated from a standing start in a 7 or 8 month period. So I just want to show you that that's what's going on, and to assure you that you can do the same and that this is real, right? I don't want you thinking that I'm just making this stuff up. So what I'm going to share with you here is how I did that, right? So as I say, this is kind of a pre-training training, and this is the stuff that's really, really important. On the training, we're going to cover stuff like the actual specifics of how to do it, like what buttons to press, where to go, that kind of stuff. But this is really more important than that. How you approach client generation is more important than the actual technique of getting out there and doing it, if that makes sense. So this is going to be a very mindset-based training, because your mindset is everything. If you get your mindset right, then everything is going to go right from there. If you get it wrong, you got big trouble, and you're really going to struggle, right? So let's get straight to it. I want to be respectful of your time and keep this as brief as possible. So how did I get to $50,000 a month in only 4 months? Well, the way that I did it essentially was I used direct mail and LinkedIn, right? Because that was the easiest way to do it. That was the most effective way to do it. It was low cost. I didn't have a lot of money to start with. I'm going to go into this more on the training, but this was the easiest way to do it. It was the low cost way to do it. So another thing that I did that I think is a really big takeaway, that everybody that wants to grow a business quickly, scale a business quickly, and we're going to cover some more of that in a minute, right? We've got some headings here where people go wrong. What do you do if you want to scale fast? I've got all that planned for you. But one of the things that you absolutely need to do if you want to scale a business fast and grow it fast is you've got to schedule it in. You can't just leave it to chance, right? So one of the reasons that I was able to grow the business that quickly is I had a very specific route to market that I used, and I stuck with that. And the second thing is that I scheduled it in. Every morning I got up at a specific time, and I had a set number of activities to do every single day. It was scheduled, right? For me, from 6 in the morning till 9 o'clock in the morning was my time where I did that stuff, and it was scheduled. So that's really, really important. If you want success in your business, if you want to grow, you got to schedule it. You've got to schedule success, right? That's really important. So another thing that people ask me about all the time was about website. They asked me about websites and what kind of software did I use? Did I use Infusionsoft, or did I do this, or did I do that? And the answer is no, not at all. You really don't. You need to keep this simple, right? So as I put here, simplicity is the key to growing a business quickly. Now, there's a ton of stuff you can do that's really going to distract you, but actually the way to grow a business fast is to simplify it as much as possible, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So you actually don't need you don't really even need a website. You really don't need software. So I'm going to show you quickly the website that I had during this period, right? How when I started doing this, and when I got it up to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month, this was the website that I put together, right? And this is it. All programs are currently closed to new client registration. This site is for private clients only. And I've got a few testimonials on there, but that's it. It's not a squeeze page. There's no early bird. There's no anything like that. It's like, it's just a website that says you can't. Well, it's not even a website. It's a single page that just says, hey, sorry, but you can't have this. So one of the things that you want to do if you want to scale quickly, if you want to grow your business quickly, is you've got to get some rubber on the road, and you've got to remove all distractions that distract you pretty much, right? That makes sense. So a lot of people will get so hung up on a website, they'll get so hung up on an autoresponder, they'll get so hung up on automation, and all that does is stop you from getting into the marketplace, right? That's all it does. So as you can see here, I built pretty much, I mean, we're getting close to a 7-figure business now. We're talking about some of the better months there, I was doing $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a month. We're getting pretty close to a 7-figure business on a one-page. It's not, you can't even call it a website, and it took me literally like 15-20 minutes to put this together, because I just wanted to get out there and focus on getting business through the door and not messing around with stuff that doesn't make me money. And I'm going to talk about that in just a few more minutes. So LinkedIn and direct mail were the two ways that I got into the market. We're going to talk about that more. And also, I just did away with everything that stopped me from getting in front of clients immediately. So another strategy that I used in generating that much business that quickly is I was really heavy on content, really low on pitches, right? So when I'm talking to clients, and I still employ this strategy right now, pretty much, it's like my goal is to give enough content for the person that I'm talking to take their business to the next level without buying anything from me, right? So I want to be really, really heavy on content and really low on pitches. So when I get on a call with somebody, when I get on a training like this, my goal is to really give all of the content that you need to go out and get a client. And I want to show you that I can help you by actually helping you. I want to show you that I know how to help you get clients by helping you get clients. And whether I'm talking to dentists or whether I'm talking to whoever, it doesn't matter. My goal is to show them that I know what I'm talking about by actually giving them the information that they need to go out there and do it themselves. Now, a lot of people say, well, if you give them the information, they'll just do it and they won't hire you. Well, that is true to some extent. Some people will do that. They'll just take it and say, thank you very much, and go. But that's not my ideal client anyway. I don't really care about that person too much. Let them go do it. They were never going to spend any money with me anyway. But my ideal clients, the people that I do want to work with, they're not going to implement this stuff themselves, right? They're too busy. They've got other stuff to do. They understand the value of delegation. They understand the value of outsourcing. So my goal here is to give them just an overwhelming amount of value to where they can see beyond any shadow of a doubt that what I have can help them. And that's what I mean when I say I'm really heavy on content and I'm really low on pitches, right? So on a 45-minute sales call, let's say 40 minutes of it is going to be, hey, here's what you need to do. If you want to, if this is your objective, here's what you need to do. Here's how you can help yourself. Here's how I can help you. And then only a few minutes of that at the end is, so would you like some help with that? It's not very much at all, right? So you got to be heavy on content, low on pitches. And again, that's a mindset thing, right? Don't be afraid that if you give you good information away, people are not going to hire you. People that don't hire you after that, they weren't going to hire you anyway, more than likely. So the next thing, if you want to take a business, to the stratosphere very quickly, is you got to understand what makes money and what doesn't, right? And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we get to the best advice I can offer you here. You're probably familiar with 80-20, Pareto principle, that kind of stuff. We'll talk about it a little bit. So what you need to do is you've got to understand what makes money and you've got to understand what does not make money. Now, you might even be wondering, like, I'll give you an example here, and you might be wondering why I've just put this basically Google Doc together instead of putting a PowerPoint presentation. Well, the reason I've done this is because I can put this presentation together or I can put this Google Doc together in probably 45 minutes, an hour, and then I'm talking to prospects. I'm back out there in the marketplace. So if I made this into a PowerPoint presentation or something really beautiful and artistic and graphically heavenly, that kind of stuff, that would take me 3 or 4 weeks, and that's 3 or 4 weeks that isn't making me money, because the only thing that makes me money is putting ads out there, putting direct mail letters out there, talking to prospects. These are the things that make money. So I want to spend as little time as possible on the stuff that doesn't make money, which is putting a presentation together, building a website, right? A website doesn't make you any money, contrary to popular belief. You do have to have a basic web presence, but this is what we've got here. So as you can see here, I spent pretty much all of my time on what makes me money. I didn't waste any time at all. So again, what most people do is they will spend, if they were putting this particular presentation together, for example, they'd spend 3 weeks scripting it, and then a week recording it, and then another week editing it, and yada yada yada, and it would take 5 or 6 weeks, and that's 5 or 6 weeks that's gone. You could get 4 or 5 clients. Now, naturally some people are going to complain about this presentation. They're going to say, I don't like that. If he can't be bothered to put a nice presentation, I'm not going to work with him. Or, I don't like the audio quality, it's not good enough, he should get a better microphone. Well, you know what, that's fine. Those people can go and work with somebody else. It doesn't matter, because yeah, you're going to turn a couple of people off, but at the same time, you're going to reach a whole heck of a lot more people, right? So I understand what makes money and what doesn't, and spending 5 weeks, 6 weeks making a presentation doesn't make me money. Spending an hour on a presentation and then spending 5 or 6 weeks on actually prospecting, that makes me money, right? So you've got to understand what makes you money and what doesn't if you want to get to a decent amount of revenue very quickly. You can't be messing around with stuff that doesn't make money. So going on from that, let's look at the sales funnel, for example. So what was the sales funnel that I used to generate that $50,000 a month of revenue? Well, if you can even call it a sales funnel, I mean, it's just super simple. So basically what I was doing was I was sending out either direct mail or LinkedIn messages, pretty much offering an indoctrination report, some kind of indoctrination collateral, some kind of report that credentialize myself as somebody that could help them, and then offering a sales call, and that's it. So direct mail to some kind of report that might even be included in the direct mail, right? So just a one-step process there, and then a sales call. That's it. Really simple. So people get hung up again on stuff that doesn't make money, and all the time I have clients now I deal with all the time, and that it's like, should I use ClickFunnels, or should I use Lead Pages, or should I use Unbounce, and I'm like, guys, that doesn't make you any money. That stuff doesn't make, who cares? Use whatever, right? You just do something basic. I mean, again, going back to this website, this is just the most basic thing that I could come up with to get that out there as quickly as possible. And this particular, I've made well over $250,000 using this as my website. So all those distractions, like should I use ClickFunnels or whatever, it's like, look, that stuff's great and all, but if you're going to spend weeks and weeks and weeks learning it, then that's weeks and weeks and weeks you've spent doing stuff that doesn't make you any money, right? As I say, I mean, I'm going to repeat this again and again because it's so important. You've got to understand what makes money, and you've got to understand what doesn't, and you've really got to 80-20 what makes money, right? You've got to be asking yourself, is this income generating activity? And look, you can delude yourself if you want to, saying, well, if I have a beautiful website, that's going to make me money. But that's what it is. It's a delusion. The 80-20, it tells us that we've got to be focused on generating sales calls, getting on those sales calls, closing business, right? So really, sales funnel, very simple, really easy, as basic as possible. I just wanted to get something together so I could get out and start prospecting. So let's talk about some advice that I can offer if you want to replicate these results and you really want to just skyrocket your business very quickly, because let me tell you, you can do it. It doesn't take a long time to grow a business if you have the right mindset, if you have the right approach. So let's cover some of the stuff that I would say that is absolutely essential if you want to really grow a business very fast. Now, the first thing is you've got to understand the Pareto principle. You've got to understand the 80-20 concept, right? So that says that 80% of your revenue will come from 20% of your clients. 80% of your leads will come from 20% of your lead sources, right? So that might be direct mail or whatever. So basically, the majority of whatever it is going to come from a minority of something, right? The majority of your income is going to come from a minority of clients. So you've got to understand what the 80-20 is. So if we look at generating clients, for example, what's the 80-20 of generating clients? Well, we've got to look at activity when it comes to this, right? So 80-20 of generating clients is going to be sales, setting up sales calls, prospecting, that kind of stuff. So 80% of your revenue is going to come from prospecting. That's it. If you're not prospecting, you're not doing anything. You're just wasting time. You're spinning your wheels. So you've got to ask yourself, is this income generating activity? Is what I'm doing right now income generating activity? And when it comes to making money, that's sales and marketing. That's it. It's not graphic design. It's not building websites. It's not building landing pages. It's not split testing. It's not all of the stuff that all of the noise out there tells you that you should be doing. Now, like I say, that stuff's great, but I've made a lot of money, and I'm making a lot of money, and I will continue to make a lot of money without really messing with that stuff too much. I just want to get the rubber on the road. So every day I ask myself, with every activity that I'm doing, is this income generating activity? Is this putting me in front of prospects? Is this generating sales calls? Is this generating sales? And if it's not, you got to get it out of your day, right? So understand the 80-20 principle. Now, the next thing, and this is huge, 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 and it kind of ties in with the 80-20 as well. It's like you grow a business successfully from a perspective of subtractions, not additions, right? So again, this is a mindset tweak that most people don't have, and we need to make. Most people think they need to add something to their business to get it to work properly. If you want more clients, I've got to add something. I've got to add a channel to market. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. When in reality, all that's doing is adding confusion, overwhelm. It's just confusing your mind, and it's bringing you to a state of inertia, and it's going to bring you into procrastination, and you're not going to do anything at all. So the question should be, what can I subtract from my business? What's not necessary? What do I not need to make me money? And again, look at the website, for example, that I've put together. Don't need a website. I can subtract that from my business pretty much. Now I'm not saying having a website is a bad thing. You want a nice one eventually, but not to start with, that's for sure. Just get out there, as I keep saying. So all of these things, do I need ClickFunnels? Do I need lead pages? Subtract, subtract, subtract. You don't need those to get out there and start prospecting. And again, that's why I really liked LinkedIn, and I really liked direct mail. LinkedIn kind of served as the website for me, right? It gave people some information about me, and direct mail allowed me to get into the marketplace very, very quickly without any real digital assets in place. So I didn't need to build a whole empire. I could just get out there and just do it quickly, and that's what you need to do. So the next thing is you're going to want to only focus on one thing at a time. So a lot of people that I work with, they make the mistake if they're trying to do everything, right? They're trying to do Facebook ads, they're trying to do Google AdWords, they're trying to do LinkedIn, direct mail, they're trying to do telemarketing, they're trying to do all kinds of stuff. And look, that's just a disaster. I've had a number of businesses now that have been successful, and I've had a number of businesses that have not been successful as well. And I can tell you, every single time that a business has taken off, and look, there's no in between, there's no middle ground here. Either a business flies or it doesn't. A business either makes a lot of money or it doesn't, right? It doesn't go trickle, 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 and then that trickle gets into a bigger and bigger business. It's like when you get this right, a business grows very, very quickly. If a business is not growing quickly, it's because something's wrong with it. There's something wrong with your messaging, there's something wrong with your audience selection, there's something wrong with your offer. When all of those things line up, there's no reason a business can't go stratospheric very, very quickly. And one of the keys to making that happen, in my experience, is you've got to really focus in on one thing at a time, right? So focus in on one channel to market, whether that be LinkedIn, direct mail, Facebook, Google AdWords, Twitter. It doesn't matter. Just focus on one thing. And I would go even further and say focus on one service, focus on one niche, get really good at something. And we're going to talk about that more in upcoming trainings, but the focus on one thing at a time is really, really important. Otherwise, you're just going to go into a state of confusion, overwhelm, and that's going to bring you into a state of inactivity. And is that income generating activity? No, it isn't, right? So we've got to avoid inactivity at all costs. And I'm sure everyone can relate to staring at your computer screen for long periods of time and just not knowing what to do next. Well, that's a symptom of trying to do too many things at once. And I tell you, the 4-Hour Work Week from Tim Ferriss really helped me with that. That's a great book to read if you want to learn how to really get focused on the stuff that's going to help you more than anything else. The next piece of advice that I can give you is a mindset. These are all really mindset things. So is speed over perfection. Speed beats perfection. So perfection is going to stop you from taking action. You've got to move beyond the fact that what you're doing is not perfect, right? So I put stuff out. Like I say, this presentation is not perfect. I send emails out that have got spelling mistakes in it, and I sent stuff. I do that stuff, and I'm not proud of it, and I'm not happy about it, and I'm not telling you. But at the end of the day, it's like if I've got a piece of marketing material and my wife does all my proofreading, if she's not here to proofread it, I send it out there, right? Spelling mistakes and all, because a piece of collateral, a piece of marketing material with spelling mistakes in it is going to get a better response than no marketing material at all. Now, again, I'm not advocating sending stuff out with spelling mistakes, but I never ever let perfection stop me from sending out a piece of material that's going to generate clients, right, or generate phone calls, that kind of stuff. So you got to adopt an attitude of speed over perfection. Just get it out there, get it out there, get it out there. And this is like buying lottery tickets, right? Every email you send is a lottery ticket. Every LinkedIn message you send is a lottery ticket. Every direct mail you send is a lottery ticket. And that's how I look at it. If you don't buy lottery tickets, you can't win the lottery. And this is what it comes down to. How many messages per day are you getting out there? How many people per day are you getting in front of? So you've got to get in front of people in volume, and you've got to adopt an attitude of speed over perfection. Now, again, this kind of ties into the next one, which is message over presentation. Again, hopefully the message that I'm giving right now is a strong message with a fairly weak presentation, right? Like using a Google Doc and just presenting from a Google Doc is not a strong presentation. There's some really nice software out there that would allow you to put together a beautiful PowerPoint or Keynote presentation or whatever software you're using, right? But I'm more interested in the message that I'm getting out than the presentation. So again, you can kind of see what I'm doing here in action. It's like I'm practicing what I preach. I'm using speed over perfection, and I'm using message over presentation. I'm using both of these right now to get this message out there. I want this message out today. I don't want it out 5-6 weeks from now, because that's 5 or 6 weeks of marketing that I'll never get back. And in all honesty, that's probably $60,000 or $70,000 of income that I'm not going to get, and I will never ever have the opportunity to get. So speed over perfection, message over presentation, and volume over accuracy. So again, like I say, if I don't like sending out stuff with spelling mistakes, and I'm dyslexic, and I'm not great at proofreading stuff. So I always have my wife proofread the stuff. She's really great at that if I can. But if she's gone for the day or something like that, it's like I'm gonna get it out there because I need the volume. It's a volume game. If you want to get to $50,000, $60,000 a month in revenue, you're going to do that through volume. You've got to reach a lot of people, right? So you've got to get your message out there in volume. And again, a day lost is a day that you're never going to recover. So some people will be turned off if you send stuff out there that's not perfect, if it's not 100% accurate. They're going to be turned off by that, and they're going to get, well, if you can't be bothered to proofread your email, then I'm not buying anything from you. And again, that's your choice. You're welcome to do that. That's perfectly fine. And a few people, as I say, will be turned off. But you know what? A lot of people are going to overlook that stuff, and they're going to say, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, or this girl knows what she's talking about. And I'm willing to overlook the presentation. I'm willing to overlook the lack of perfection. I'm willing to overlook the lack of accuracy in grammatical correctness, because it's a great message, right? So keep that in mind. We want to get stuff out there quickly. We want to get stuff out there in volume. These are two key concepts if you want to scale a business quickly. Now, the next thing is you got to use EBM, right? You've got to use educational based marketing. This is absolutely 100% essential, and I'm probably going to have to put together another training on this, just because this is so essential that I want to respect your time today and keep this as brief as possible. A lot of information we're going over here. So educational based marketing is the only way that you can do it, right? So let me give you an example, and I've got an example down here somewhere. So yeah, this is when we talk about where people go wrong, and obviously it's that they don't use educationally based marketing. So let's come down here and use the example of a room humidifier and snoring as to how we can use educational based marketing in our business. So a lot of people, well, let's just come down here and look at this a little bit, because this is going to be kind of relevant to what we're talking about right now. So a lot of people, what they do is they don't understand the 367-30 rule, right? So the 367-30 rule is that only 3% of the marketplace is actually going to be ready and willing to buy your product right now. So they know what they want, they're just looking for somebody to buy it from. That's 3%, and let me tell you, that's an absolute fist fight to get those people, right? Everybody's targeting them, everybody wants them, really expensive to reach, really hard to get their attention, and really small in numbers. The 67 is 67% of the people in the marketplace are in the research stage, and they will make a purchase at some point in the future. The 30 is people that will never ever buy regardless, right? So what we want to really focus on here is that the big opportunity here is the 67% that are in the research stage. The 3%, too expensive, too hard. If we can get them, great, but we're not going to focus on those. We want 67% because nobody's really targeting them and nobody really knows how to deal with them. So if we can hit those hard appropriately, we can get some really, really quick wins here. So let's talk about how we can employ educational-based marketing to do that. So let's say that the product that you're selling is a room humidifier. So if you run an ad on Facebook or Google saying room humidifiers for sale, then only 3% of the potential people that will ever buy a room humidifier are actually in the market for that right now. They've decided that they want one, they've researched it, and now they're in buying mode, right? They're ready to go find one. There's another 67% though that we can convince them that they do need it, and we can talk them into buying it, right? So like I say, if your headline is something like the world's best room humidifier or dehumidifier, I don't know, this is a made-up example. So your headline is buy the world's best room dehumidifier here for the best price, right? Well, that's only going to appeal to 3%, tiny percentage of the market. But if we can come at it from a different angle, from an EBM angle, then we can get this 67%. Let me show you how to do that. So if you, instead of approaching the marketplace directly offering room humidifiers as a service, if you found a problem that room humidifiers solve and then address that problem, then you're going to get a much better response. So let me give you an example. So I've put snoring here. Now I don't know if this is true or not. I've just made this up to use it as an example. But if your headline is something along the lines of, are you tired of your spouse keeping you awake at night with excessively loud snoring? New report shows the cause of snoring and how to solve it. So now we're addressing people that they have a problem, right? Their spouse is keeping them awake at night with excessive snoring, and that's going to be painful. They're going to want a solution to that. So they're going to get that report. Very, very likely they're going to get that report. So when we send them that report, it says new scientific study shows that snoring is caused by a lack of humidity in the room or something like that, or excessive humidity. I don't know. I'm just making this stuff up. So now we've given them a reason to buy the humidifier. They didn't know that they wanted it, right? They had a problem to solve, which is their partner snores too much, but they didn't even know that humidity was the cause of that, and so they certainly didn't know that buying a humidifier was the solution to that problem. So now we've educated the person through educationally based marketing that the cause of their problem that they're looking for a solution to is humidity or lack of humidity, whatever. And now we've positioned our product, a humidifier, to solve that problem. Does that make sense? So we've given them a reason to buy the product. Hopefully that makes sense. So the same is true with digital marketing services. Only a very, very small percentage of people are aware that they even want pay-per-click. Only a small percentage are aware that they want SEO. Now, these are people that have a problem, they've researched it, and they're actually looking for a solution. This is the 3%, right? So they're going to be ready to buy, but the competition there is massive. You're going to have so much competition, it's unbelievable, right? So what we want to do is we want to use educational based marketing to reach this 67%. So if we get specific, you know, and we're going to come back over here to, specificity versus generality is one of the pieces of advice that I can offer you. So let's just kind of touch on that quickly. If we're being really specific with a marketplace, so let's say we're approaching the legal industry, personal injury lawyers. Let's just use that as an example. So if your marketing says something along the lines of, hey, Mr. Lawyer, have you been using Yellow Pages to generate most of your business over the past 10 years? Get them to say yes to something, yes. Well, as you might well be aware, the Yellow Pages are dying. They're aware of that. They know that the Yellow Pages are dying. But the good news is, the Yellow Pages hasn't gone away, it's just changed locations. It's now called Google. Where people will once go into the Yellow Pages to find personal injury attorneys like yourself, now they're going to Google. If you're not ranking highly in Google, then you're going to be missing out on all of this business. Now, I'm just making this up, I'm just shooting from the hip, right? But can you see how now we're positioned in an SEO or a PPC service? So these people don't necessarily know yet that they want PPC or SEO. All they know is that they've been using Yellow Pages up to this point and it's not really working for them anymore. They don't know what the solution to that is. Now you got to remember, our audience don't know what we know. They just know that the Yellow Pages is not working for them anymore. So when we point that out and we say, hey, the Yellow Pages is not working anymore, the new Yellow Pages is Google, would you like for me to talk to you about Google and how you can get high up in Google, that kind of stuff, then they're going to go for that. Now, this is where your 67% are hanging out. They don't know that they want SEO. They don't know that they want PPC. All they know is they've got a problem and they want a solution. So we've got to educate them to what their problem is, and we've got to educate them to what their solution is. So hopefully this is making sense, right? This is a huge shift in how you market your business. So if we run a headline, or we run an ad, or we run a direct mail piece that says, I'm the best PPC manager for the legal industry, or we do the best SEO in the world for the legal industry, well, guess what? That's only going to appeal to this 3%, because this 67% have no idea what SEO is. They have no idea what PPC is. And if we can educate them in the way that I've just described, then all of a sudden this 67% opens up to us, and now we've got really, it's a blue ocean offer, right? So few people are doing this that when we go after that 67% through education, through EBM, then the competition, there really isn't very much of it, and you can really start to generate a lot of clients quickly. You can really start to scale a business quickly. So as I say, I don't really mess with this 3% too much. If I can get them, great, that's fine, but they're not the target. They're not what I'm going after. This 67% is what I'm going after. And of course, this 30% that are never going to buy anything from anybody, we just don't even need to know about those. So hopefully that makes sense. So you must be using educationally based marketing, right? So I might go into some more examples of that later. We'll see how time goes on. So the next thing we kind of touched on, it's specificity versus generality. Hopefully you could see in the example how being very specific with what niche you're going after and what service you're offering is going to allow that. So if you're just offering general services to a general marketplace, you're going to really struggle. So we'll just leave that there for now. So leading on from that is, don't be afraid of narrow. Don't be afraid of going too narrow, right? You want your market to be extremely narrow and extremely deep. So again, the example there of personal injury attorneys would fit that criteria, right? Now, I wouldn't necessarily advise going after those. I'm just using this as an example, but it's very narrow, so we can get our message right on point, and we're going to talk about that more in upcoming trainings. It's really deep. So we want to go narrow and we want to go deep. Now, one of the things that most people are afraid of is they're afraid that if they go too narrow, it's going to exclude them from the market generally, and there's not going to be enough business. Well, again, this is a mindset shift that needs to take place. That's not the case, right? Going narrow makes you more appealing, not less appealing. Going narrow makes it easier, not harder. So as I say, I'm not going to talk about this too much, because we're going to go into that much more in some upcoming trainings, and we'll leave you in no doubt as to why and how to do that. So the next thing is mindset versus technique. Well, you really want to focus on your mindset. This whole training here is kind of a mindset thing. So hopefully you can see that by understanding how we approach the market, that's going to, the mindset to how we approach the market is going to change the technique to how we get into the market, right? So mindset is really important. Next thing is substance over novelty. So we want to lead with substance, not novelty. Now, when I talk about direct mail as being a method that I use to get to market, first thing people ask me is, well, you're using lumpy mail. No, I'm not using lumpy mail. Why? Because I want to use substance over novelty. Lumpy mail is all right. It's novel. It gets opened. It does do that. There's no question. But you're leading with novelty. You're not leading with value. You're not leading with substance. You want to be seen as weighty. You want to be seen as a heavyweight. And the way you do that is you lead with some serious value. You lead with some serious substance. You give them your best stuff up front. You don't give them your most novel stuff up front, right? So you want to lead with substance, not novelty. Clarity versus cleverness as well is another one, but I don't have that down here. So here's the big one, right? So we could stop right here and this training would be worthwhile. So it's do it and do it now. What the hell are you waiting for? So you've got to lose your excuses. You've got to get out of your own way. You've got to stop thinking that there are reasons you can't do this. It's a mindset. There's no reason you can't be reaching prospects and leads within 20 minutes of turning this video off, right? You can go to LinkedIn and you can start messaging people. You can start sending out messages on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. You can start to go out there and reach people right now. Now, is it going to be perfect? No, but we don't care because we want speed over perfection. Is it going to be a perfect message? No, because we're not that worried about that. We're interested in volume over accuracy. We want to refine that as we go on. But look, here's the thing. Do it and do it now. What the hell are you waiting for? If you want to make money, you got to get out there and you got to hustle. That's all there is to it. You got to talk to people. You got to get in front of people. You got to educate people, and you got to be aggressive about that. And we're going to talk about that more in a little bit. So first thing is ditch your excuses as to why you can't do this. As I've shown you over and over again, this is all I had when I started. This was it. I just wanted to get out there and I had to start somewhere, so I just started where I stood, and day one I started prospecting before I felt ready and before my website and everything else told me I was ready for sure. But you know what, I got clients really, really quickly. That stuff just doesn't matter. So let's talk about what people are doing wrong now. So these are some mistakes that you can avoid, right? And I've made some big mistakes here in the last little bit, and I'm going to go over those with you as well. So I'm going to share those with you so you don't make the same mistakes. So the first one is there's no real clarity going on. Clarity is power. Clarity is strength, right? So you got to understand what you're selling. Most people don't know what they're selling, and this comes back to educational based marketing. So in the example that we used, this person would think that they were selling room humidifiers when actually they're selling a solution to snoring. The personal injury attorney marketing company would think that they're selling SEO when actually they're selling a replacement to the yellow pages. The list goes on and on. I mean, another good example is I worked with a basement waterproofing company. Your basement leaks, they come in and waterproof it. So who wants to buy that? It's not a very sexy product at all, right? So we did some research, found out that actually the mildew and the mold, the spores that come off of that, if you've got a leaky basement, potentially causes cancer in children. It's horrible. So what we did was, instead of advertising their service as a basement tanking service, is what it was called, stop your basement. If you've got a leaky basement, then give us a call, because people they don't really care. They don't live in their basement. They don't really see the problem, and it's just going to cost them a bunch of money. So that doesn't work. So like I say, we did some research, found out that the spores from the mildew can actually cause cancer in children. So we targeted our marketing towards females between the ages of 20 and 35 who have young children. And of course, the headline was something along the lines of, recent study shows how a leak in your basement can be fatal to your children. Get the report now. So of course we had a huge response to that. Then in that report we show the actual information. This was true. Like I say, it's horrible but true. We show the report where the scientists have found that the spores contained within the mildew can be carcinogenic to children, and we gave them all that information. And then at the end of it said, hey, if you have young children in a basement that's got a leak in it, give us a call and we'll come out and we'll take a look at it and we'll give you a free consultation. That particular approach there made that company the number one company in the UK for that service, and we was actually spending $250,000 a month on media by the end of that campaign. Massively successful, right? Because we didn't sell basement waterproofing, we sold keep your child safe. That was what we were selling. Protect your child. And as a result, massively successful, right? So you've got to understand what it is that you're selling. You're not selling PPC, you're not selling social media, you're not selling SEO, you're not selling any of that stuff. You're selling a solution to a problem, and we want to focus on that problem, right? Not the solution. So as I've put down here, a mistake that people are making is they're offering a solution to solve a problem versus solving a problem by offering a solution. Have a think about that for just a second, right? Because this is profound if you get it. This is going to be the difference in your business if you get it. People are offering a solution to solve a problem. So let me give you an example. So with the legal example, for example, most people will lead with the solution that they offer, right? So we offer SEO services to get you to the top of Google. Well, most people don't even know that they need to be at the top of Google, to be perfectly honest with you. So that's leading with the solution to solve a problem. Let us offer you SEO to solve the problem that you're not at the top of Google. Well, actually, if you turn this around and you solve a problem by offering a solution, massively different. So if you lead with, if you're feeling the pain from the yellow pages dying and your business is struggling as a result, let us offer you a solution to that. We can get the business that you once received through the yellow pages, we can get that same business for you now from Google We're solving a problem. The problem is that the Yellow Pages is dying and the businesses are struggling as a result. The solution that we're going to offer is SEO, but we're not leading with that. We're not leading with the solution. We're leading with the problem. So hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, I'm probably going to put together another training on this EBM stuff, because it's really profound, and once you get it, once you understand this stuff, it's really going to change how you market. And again, this is a mindset thing. You want to solve a problem by offering a solution. You don't want to offer a solution to solve a problem. Now, the next thing where people go wrong, if you want to get some, you want to grow your business quickly, is you go too high tech, right? So you get too complicated, and as I said, you can see here, and this is exactly what happened to me. We went from $55,000. Now, it was a bit lower here, but I took June off. My family came to visit me, so I didn't really work in June, so that's cool. But it was back up to the usual $55,000, $60,000 here in July, and then as we see, drop off. We've got a nasty down curve here. Well, why is that? I can tell you why. It's because I got too clever for my own good. I started using Infusionsoft. I started trying to automate stuff. I started to try and get just too clever, and I lost sight of simplicity. I lost sight of what works. So as a result, I spent, in this 2-month period here, August and September, I spent probably $25,000 on software and consultancy fees and hiring people to implement this stuff for me and all that kind of stuff. And not only did I lose that $25,000, I also lost, we dropped off $25,000 in sales there, and we dropped off even more, or $20,000 here, $25,000, whatever, something like that. So by getting too complicated and getting too focused on the high-tech stuff, that cost me $70,000-$80,000. It really did. And we can see in October here, I just threw all that stuff out. I did $20,000 in September, which was, look, it's still good, right? That's still decent. I mean, I'm not complaining. That pays my bills and gives me a nice little bit left over, but it's not $55,000. And then we can see here in October, I got focused. I threw all of the high-tech stuff out of the window and just said, look, get back to basics. And as we can see, an immediate jump of 10K in sales. And in November, we're going to be back up to the 55 again. I just know that that's the case, right? So people going too high-tech is a problem, big time. And a lot of times people don't get started. They don't get into the marketplace because they think they're not high-tech enough. The website's not high-tech enough. The automation isn't there, all that kind of stuff. And the lack of high-tech stops them from getting into the marketplace, when actually it's the other way around. Going too high-tech and feeling like you need to be very high-tech before you get started doesn't work, right? So pretty much, my my failed experiment of, what was it, August and September, I spent tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars, and those months were very confusing. They were very frustrating. I was messing around with software I didn't understand. My sales were plummeting. It was very painful. I was very frustrated. It was a very unpleasant experience all in all. So, just ditch that, go back to low tech, and straight away $10,000 boost in sales immediately. So too high tech is a big problem. We've kind of covered this a little bit. People don't understand what people are buying. So again, that kind of ties into not understanding what you're selling, right? So again, if we look at our humidifier solution here, people are not buying a humidifier. They're buying a solution to a snoring problem. That's what people are actually buying. So if you try to sell the humidifier, you're going to really struggle. You'll get a couple of people, you'll get a couple of sales, but if you try to sell, if you're selling a solution to snoring, then you can really clean up and you can sell a ton of humidifiers. So you've got to understand what people are actually buying. So these two tie together. You've got to understand what it is that you're selling, and you've got to understand what it is that people are buying. And like I say, I'll probably put together the training because this is there's a lot of stuff and time's getting on here right now. So the next thing is people don't understand why they're buying stuff, right? They don't, and this is different to what people are buying. So again, this is a mindset thing. So what people are buying, for example, like I think everybody knows, or you'll know very soon, that I focus on dentists, right? Dentistry is my niche. So what dentists are buying essentially is they're buying a way to meet their payroll every week. So a lot of times dentists have got a really big payroll, and it's a cause of stress to them, right? It keeps them awake at night. So you've got to ask yourself the question, if you want to know why people are buying, right, you've got to ask the question, what keeps your prospect awake at night? So for me, it can be like, well, my prospect is awake wondering how they're going to meet payroll, right? They're not staying awake at night wondering how they're going to buy a new BMW or how they're going to have their laptop on the beach lifestyle, or they're not kept awake because they're pursuing some kind of pleasure experience, right? They're kept awake by how are they going to meet their payroll? How are they going to pay their bills? How am I going to generate enough revenue this month to keep this business open? These are the problems that keep people awake at night. So this is why they would buy a service from you. So if you can tap into that and you can angle your marketing and your messaging towards hey, look, what I'm offering is a way to help you meet your payroll. What I'm offering is a way for you to consistently know that you're going to meet your bills on a monthly basis. That's going to really tap into an area of their psychology. That's going to really tap into an area of desire and pain and motivation, that by offering an SEO service or a PPC service or a pleasure-based service, you're not going to tap into that. People are going to be far more motivated to buy a service that ensures that they meet their payroll on a monthly basis than a service that generates them an extra $10,000 or $20,000 a month of income that they don't need anyway, right? So you can lead with, we can generate leads for your business, we can generate sales with your business, but they're not necessarily associating that with meeting payroll. You've got to be very specific, right? So you got to understand why they're buying your product, and you've got to offer your product as a solution to that product. So again, we're talking about offering a solution to a problem versus a product. Well, we're offering a solution to how do you meet your payroll. That's the problem that you've got. We're going to solve that problem, and the way we're going to solve that problem is with PPC, or the way that we're going to solve that problem is with SEO. But once you've tapped into that emotion, once you've tapped into that desire of, I need a way to meet my payroll every week and be comfortable about that, once you've convinced the person that you have the solution to that problem, then they're going to be open to SEO, then they're going to be open to PPC. If you lead with your product, then you're just going to be one of a number of people in the marketplace that's probably approached them today, to be perfectly honest with you. There's nothing to differentiate you from anybody else if all you're doing is offering an SEO service or a PPC service. You've got to get deeper than that. You've got to dig deeper into the problem. You've got to understand what you're selling, and you've got to understand what people are buying, and you've got to understand why they're buying it. If you can do that, then you're going to access this 67% of the marketplace that are ready and willing to buy, and nobody's targeting them. Nobody knows how to meet them. And like I say, this is how you take a business from nothing to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month in a very, very short period of time. It's educationally based marketing, targeting to 67%. Cool. So let's move on. So we've talked about this. People who don't employ EBM. Another mistake where people go wrong is you just no clearly defined strategy, right? So you don't really know how you do this. So for example, like I said earlier, you might be using 10 different methods to get into the marketplace right now. You might be networking, you might be using Facebook, you might be using AdWords, you might be cold calling, I don't know, all kinds of stuff, right? But with no clearly defined strategy, it's just random, and you can't apply any force and focus in any one area, right? So if you know, like I do, for example, that I'm targeting dentists and I'm using direct mail to target those dentists, and I know that I need to send 20 direct mails a day, let's say, now I've got a clearly defined strategy. I've got a target audience, I've got a message, and I've got a means to reach that audience that's effective, and I've got a strategy on a daily basis. So as we said earlier on, I can schedule my success. I can schedule that in. I know who I'm going to reach, I know how I'm going to reach them, and I know what I'm going to say when I reach them. And that's, you can start to really apply some focus at that point to what you're doing, and that's when you're going to start to see some results. So going on from that, most people are focused on completely the wrong things. So that kind of ties in, and we've kind of talked about that. So they're focusing on stuff like landing pages, websites, or email autoresponders, just all kinds of stuff that at the end of the day, it doesn't make us any money, right? This is the 20 out of the 80-20. The bulk of our money is going to be made from just getting our message in front of potential buyers and talking to them. The bulk of our income is going to be made, 80% of our income is going to be made just like that. Now, everything else, the websites and the autoresponders and the softwares and all that kind of stuff, that's your 20. That's the 20 part of the 80-20. It will make you money. It will eventually. ultimately, but it's going to be a very small percentage of the money that's available, right? So focusing on the wrong things is a big mistake that people make, right? Now, another thing is too much noise, just too much noise in the marketplace. Everybody has got the next greatest thing, right? Everybody's offering something that's going to solve all of your problems. But at the end of the day, all you need to grow a massively successful business and have a huge, huge income is one winning strategy. That is it. That's all you need. Now, for me to grow my consulting business, it was direct mail. For my clients that I work with that have had huge success, direct mail. It just pulls the best in my experience when it comes to selling digital marketing services. It's not the most leveraged way, it's not the easiest way, but it is the best way, right? So if you want to grow a business very quickly, all you need is one winning strategy, and do not deviate from it. So what happens is people will start sending out direct mail or using LinkedIn, whatever. Both work really well, but let's say they start out that their one winning strategy is direct mail. They get a few clients and like, yeah, this is great, this works, and they get a few more clients and get a little bit of money coming into the business, and then all of a sudden it's like, stop doing what's working, and they go into something else for some reason. I think Frank Kern, I heard it from, who said the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who finds something that works and stops doing it. And that's so ironic, because I found that to be so true, not just in my own business, but with the people I work with. And it's bizarre, you find something that works and you stop, and I don't know why that is. So you've got to really be very focused. You've got to have one strategy that wins, and you've just got to do it religiously. You've got to stop listening to the noise and stop looking for the next best thing, right? So if you've got a strategy that's working right now, then scale it. Don't listen to what I'm telling you. Go use your own strategy if it's working. Don't look for a new strategy. Turn this video off and go use it, for goodness sake. But if you don't have a strategy that's working, that's replicatable, that's scalable, stuff like that, then that's something that I can certainly offer you. And when you get it, when it starts working, you don't want to deviate from it. When you get something that works, you just want to keep doing it, right? And direct mail, for sure, when it comes to selling digital services, that's a really, really good one. It's at the top as far as I'm concerned. So the next thing is people, they don't schedule success due to a lack of a system, right? So again, this is where if you don't really have a system in place, like direct mail or a LinkedIn strategy or something like that, you can't really schedule it, because what are you scheduling, right? You know, your activities are very random on a daily basis. So by not having that one winning strategy, it makes it difficult to schedule stuff, and that's a symptom of a lack of a system. So again, you really want to have a system for generating business into your business, and again, that's something that I can offer you, something I can help you with, and we're going to cover that much more over the next few days. I don't really want to go into systems at this point, because we're getting close to the hour mark on this video, and I want to wind it up, because I know it's getting very long. So lack of follow-up, right? So this is another huge mistake. I would say 80% of my sales come in the follow-up. So whether it be email, LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. So you want to follow up. So if I'm using LinkedIn, which again is a very successful methodology, it works really well, very few people respond to the first message that you send them. So the second thing is you want to send them some proof. So you just call out to them, hey, are you interested? No? Okay, well, here's some proof that what I'm doing works. Are you interested now? No, still not interested. Okay. Well, here's some more stuff. Maybe these are your problems. Are these your challenges? Is this why you don't want to use it? Is it because you think it's too complicated? Is it because you think it's going to be too expensive? Right? You want to overcome these objections with your follow-up, and then of course adding some bonuses into what you're doing as well. So again, I don't want to go into too many details with all of this stuff, but proper follow-up is absolutely essential to your success. If you're not following up properly, if you're not following up at all, which is most people, then you're leaving 90% of the money on the table. Very few people are going to buy on the initial approach, and a lot of people, they'll try this stuff and they'll say, oh, I tried it and it didn't work. Well, how many times did you follow up? I didn't follow up. Well, there's your problem, right? The money is in the follow-up. No doubt about that. We've kind of touched on this. When it gets complicated, sales drops. You see here, this is what happened. Went from 55,000, 56,000 down to under 20,000. Why? Because I got complicated. I tried to get too clever. Keep it simple. Simplicity is the key. So now, if you want to scale fast, let's just talk about some of the attitudes that you need to have, and we've still got a little bit of stuff to go through here. So I want to go through this pretty quickly, right? So the first thing is you need urgency. You're not going to scale a business if you're lethargic, right? There's got to be some urgency about what you're doing. There's got to be some motivation. You've got to burn some bridges. You've got to be hungry for this stuff. So many people, they want it if it's easy, but if they've got to put effort in, then they're just not going to do it. So you got to have some urgency. You got to have some get up and go about what you're doing. And again, that comes back to all this stuff ties in. Getting back to the beginning, right? When we're talking about stuff like message over presentation, speed over perfection, volume over accuracy. Well, all of these can be summed up by the emotion of urgency. If it's urgent that you generate clients, then you're going to lose need and desire for perfection. There's got to be that urgency there. You've got to be aggressive in approaching the marketplace. You can't be light-footed and timid and stuff like that. You've got to be aggressive. It's noisy out there. There's a lot of competition out there. We've got to be aggressive. We've got to make ourselves heard. We've got to make the marketplace listen to it. So you've got to have a certain amount of aggression in approaching the marketplace. You can't be afraid to talk to people. You can't be afraid to irritate people because you're putting your message in front of them a lot. That's what it takes, right? You've got to be aggressive. You've got to have an attitude of being very aggressive. And the third thing is, if you want to scale, you've got to get yourself out of the way, right? So what holds most people back is themselves, right? Their biggest enemy is themselves. Their biggest obstacle is themselves. And it's those attitudes around, again, going back to what we just talked about, speed over perfection. This is you getting in your own way, right? Message over presentation. This is you getting in your own way. Volume over accuracy. This is going to be you getting in your own way. This is me getting in my own way. And like I said, I don't like sending stuff out that's not perfect, but I'm not going to block myself from getting into the marketplace. I'm just going to get out of my own way and let this stuff happen, right? Here's some more good advice, and I'm just going to blitz through this really quickly because I know the time's getting on here. So here's some advice, and if you take anything away, take this away from this video. Simplify to the point of stupidity. Forget everything other than sales and prospecting. That's it. Get out there right now. You've probably got that right now, so I'm not going to hammer this point anymore, but you want to simplify to the point of stupidity to where you can get out there, and if you're serious about growing your business, do something after you get off this video. Send a message to somebody offering your services, even if it's horrible and doesn't get a response. Doesn't matter. Take action. The next thing is you've got to have the balls to be yourself, right? So problem with a lot of noise in the marketplace is we start suffering from comparison overwhelm and stuff like that. So you want to be yourself, you want to be authentic, you want to be honest, you want to be original, and you've got to be yourself, right? You just want to present yourself as who you are. Don't try and be someone else. Don't try and be something else. Just be yourself and be honest. You've got to be authentic, you've got to be honest, right? And you've got to stand by what you say. So for example, if you say there's only 10 places available in your business right now, in your consultancy, then don't take on more people. Be honest. Tell the truth. Don't create false scarcity. Now, you do need scarcity, of course. That's an essential part of the sales process. But false scarcity is just disgusting. When you say that you can only get this price until Monday, and then Monday comes along, and then you offer it again Tuesday, it just destroys your authenticity. It destroys your honesty. It destroys your positioning. So make your yes mean yes. Make your no mean no. Be authentic. Be honest. And if you say something, for goodness sake, stick to it. So the next thing, good advice, is you want to forget about what this stuff costs, right? I mean, we haven't talked about this at all, but we should, and I'll definitely touch on it in some more trainings. Is we're selling high ticket services here. So if you're not selling high ticket right now, then you definitely want to catch the main training here in a few days, because I'm going to show you how to charge many times more than you're probably charging right now. $1,500 to, I've got students that are charging $3,500 a month for PPC and SEO services just for management fees, and getting 2, 3, 4 clients a week, not having any problem at all charging those fees. So you want to forget about the costs here. Don't get hung up on how much it costs to get in the marketplace, because the value of what we acquire is so high, right? So if we can get a PPC client or a digital marketing client for $2,000 a month, well, let's say it's costing us $2 a letter, right, to send out letters, direct mail. Well, we only need one client from that to break even month one, and at $2,000 a month, well, that's $24,000 over the next year. So it's costing us $2,000 to generate $24,000 in revenue. So, and that's only getting one person out of a $1,000 piece mailing, right, at a cost of $2,000. So a lot of people get really hung up on the cost of this stuff and think, well, it's going to cost me $2,000 to send out 1,000 letters, so they only send out 100 and they don't get a response, so they've just lost all their money. Whereas your success increases as the number increases as well. As we said earlier on, this is about volume. You've got to get in front of people in volume. So if you're really penny pinching and counting the cost, then that's a problem, right? We don't want to be focused on how can we get the cost down. We want to be more focused on how can we get revenue up to cover the costs. So we'll touch on that more in some upcoming trainings. Next thing is, we've touched on it, don't listen to all the noise. Don't get distracted by all the shiny objects, or you're just going to go into confusion, overwhelm, and do nothing. This is huge. You want to study and read copywriting classics, right? Copywriting is everything. We haven't really had a chance to touch on that today, which is unfortunate because this video has really gone for a long time now. But as I said here, copywriting really is the key to success, and it's where all of your money is going to come from, right? If your copy is not strong, then your results are going to be not strong. So here's what a lot of people do. They spend most of their time on complication. This is why I say simplify. So for example, they'll spend 3 months learning how to use ClickFunnels or learning how to use lead pages or something like that, which ultimately is going to make you pretty much no money. It's definitely on the wrong side of 80-20, and spend absolutely no money whatsoever, no time on learning good copywriting. Copywriting is the art of explaining to people what your service is, what the benefits of what you do are. It's getting their interest, it's getting their attention. It's absolutely essential. So I would rather spend 15 minutes on getting a landing page together, or something like that, and 3 weeks on learning how to do better copywriting than the other way around. And most people don't do that. So again, what will happen is, for example, if you're using Facebook to generate ads, people will spend a whole day creating the campaign inside of Facebook or whatever, and then they'll get to the end and they'll only spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes on creating the ad. They'll just put something together really quickly, when actually that's just completely wrong. It should be the other way around. You should be spending the bulk of your time on the copy of the ad, right? Because that's what's going to attract people, that's what's going to interest people, that's what's going to set you apart. So copywriting really is the key to success. It really is. So you want to study and read lots of classics. So that's stuff like David Ogilvy, Ted Nicholas, John Caples. There's a ton out there. There's a lot of really good. Joe Sugarman, ton of really great books on copywriting, and they're cheap, $20-$30, well worth the money. Next thing, replicate winning results. So again, like I say, get a winning system and stick with it. The next thing is, you've got to understand that you've got to invest to grow. So, and primarily you've got to invest in yourself, right? So your business can't grow any bigger than you. And the way you grow bigger is to invest in yourself. So I spend a huge amount of money on education and training. I spend $30,000-$40,000 a year on education and training, and that's accounts for a lot of my success, really. I'm constantly growing as a business owner. I'm constantly growing as a person. So you're like a bucket, right? And money in business is like water. So to continuously pour money into a bucket once it's reached the point of overflowing is pointless, because it's just going to spill. What you need to do is focus on getting a bigger bucket, and that's investing in yourself and investing in your education and your training. So the key is for you to become bigger, for you to become better. And the last piece of good advice I got here is just trust yourself. That's huge, really. Now, I didn't feel ready to go out and do a lot of this stuff, but I just trusted that I would find a solution when a problem arose, right? I didn't know how I was going to do stuff. I didn't know how I was going to service clients. I didn't know how I was going to solve problems. But what I did do was trust myself and have the confidence and self-belief that I was going to find a solution. So if you don't have self-trust, if you don't have self-belief, then you're going to really struggle to move forward, because if you need all of the answers before taking action, then unfortunately you're just not going to take any action. So trust is really key. So last little bit here and then we're done. I appreciate if you're still with me. I really appreciate you staying with me this long, because I know we're an hour plus into this now, and I didn't intend for it to be this long, but this is really important stuff and I really want to share this with you. So the next thing is, how did I scale multiple businesses quickly? Now, I've done this multiple times this year. I've built 2 businesses this year, for combined well over 7 figures of income, and I've done this with several businesses in the past as well. And look, I have privilege here of working with people, and I get to see things that other people don't get to see. So not only do I see my own business, I've got all of my clients' businesses who I'm helping build digital consultancy businesses, and I can see what goes on in their business from behind the scenes, right? And I see similarities and stuff like that. So I get to see how other people are scaling their business and what's working. So some of the commonalities that all of these businesses have in common, and all of these business owners and entrepreneurs have in common, is this: you've got to have the self-belief that you are the best option for the prospect. You've got to believe that. If you don't believe that you're the best person to help the prospect, then just pack up and go home, right? You've got to have that self-belief. If you believe, and you truly believe deep down inside, that you are the best option for your prospect, then you will do what you need to do to bring them on board as a client. If you have some nagging self-doubts that you're not the best option, then you're going to sabotage yourself and you're going to really struggle. So self-belief that you're the best option for the prospect is key. And again, we're talking mindset here. The actual tactics of how to get into the marketplace, which hopefully you're starting to see now, how you actually get into the marketplace, and the messaging that you use is completely irrelevant if you don't have the right mindset, because I can show you how to get in front of people, I can show you how to generate leads, and I'm going to do that, but unless you have this mindset, you're just going to sabotage yourself. So you've got to believe that you're the best option for the prospect. You've got to have messaging that effectively communicates that. So again, if you don't believe that you're the best option for your prospect, then it's going to be hard for you to put together effective messaging that communicates that, because if you don't believe it, how can you communicate it? Very difficult, right? So the next thing is you've got to have an effective way to get to the decision maker. So if you can have all the self-belief in the world, but if you can't communicate that self-belief to a person that's qualified to make a decision for your services, then what does it profit, right? It's useless. So we've got to have an effective way to actually get your message in front of the right person, and we're going to cover that in some upcoming trainings. Can't really go into that today. Next thing is volume. Everybody that I know that's successful is volume. They're volume orientated, right? So pretty much everything we've talked about, doing away with perfection, forgetting accuracy and all that stuff, and focusing on volume. Very, very important. The next thing, if you want to succeed and scale a business quickly, is you've got to be willing to face your own fears. So this is something that I have, right? I have a willingness to face my own fears, my own weaknesses and my insecurities. And these are going to come up right here, right? And again, this is mindset stuff. So you've got to be willing to face your own fears and do battle with those and come to terms with them. Because a lot of people, if I'm being perfectly honest at this point on the call, they don't believe that they're the best option for the prospect. And if they start looking at getting into the marketplace in volume, then these feelings about I'm fraudulent are going to come up. Well, what if this is successful? What if I succeed? What if I do bring a whole bunch of business in and I let people down? These are things that we've got to look at and we've got to deal with, right? And again, this comes back to trust in yourself. All this stuff comes in together. It's like, I don't have all the answers to all the questions to how I'm going to help my clients, but I do trust that I will find a solution. And I'm willing to face my own fears. I'm willing to face my own weaknesses and insecurities, and if something comes up that I don't understand, that I'm not very good at, I'm willing to get help. I'm willing to admit that I have that weakness. I'm willing to admit that I have that fear. And again, this is where I come back and I invest in myself. I find somebody who has demonstrated that they've overcome those problems in their own personal life and their own business. So again, like I say, this stuff all ties back in together. But if you're not willing to do that, I think it's going to be really difficult for you. The next thing is failure is not an option, right? So again, I put myself on death ground, and the people that I work with, they put themselves on death ground. And if you don't know what death ground is, then I highly recommend The Art of War by Sun Tzu. So death ground basically is, in The Art of War, he says that if an army must fight, if you must take your army into battle, put them in a position where they must win. They can't fail because they will die. So basically, it's like the story of the king who sailed his fleet onto an island to do battle with an army he was massively outnumbered by, and as soon as his army was on the beach, he set fire to his ships. So his army had no choice. They had to fight and win, or they had to die, or they had no other choice, right? So that's death ground. When you put yourself on death ground, you've burnt all bridges. There's no way out. It's succeed or die. And a lot of times that's the way to really move forward, and it's not pleasant, it's not nice, but at the end of the day, it's like we're going to face challenges and difficulties, and if we're not on death ground, if we haven't burnt our bridges, if we haven't burnt our ships, if we have an avenue of retreat, then we're going to take that avenue of retreat, and we're not going to get the result that we wanted, right? So you've got to adopt an attitude of failure is not an option, and you've got to put yourself on death ground. You've got to burn your bridges. The next thing is this, we've definitely talked about this, it's the message that wins. It's not a pretty page or that kind of stuff, graphic design. So here I've said no, it's not an option. So that's where, again, if you're of the belief that you are the best option for the prospect, they have a need and they're looking for a solution, then I'm not going to take no for an answer from them. If I genuinely believe that I am the best option for them, I'm going to keep going and going and going until I sell them that solution, right? So a good example of that is if you had a solution to cancer, and it's a legitimate solution, and it works 100 times out of 100, it's a solution to a cancer. And a mother comes to you with a young child, and the young child has cancer and it's terminal, and you say to the mother, I have a solution to the cancer, I have a cure. And the mother says, no, I can't buy that from you, I don't think it works, or no, I'm going to go use this solution. If you knew 100% that you had the solution, and that child was terminally ill, would you leave it at that? Would you say, okay, that's fine? No, of course you wouldn't. You would keep going and going and going until you convinced that woman to buy your solution to save her child's life. And that's what I mean when I say no is not an option. And it all ties back in to, all this stuff comes together. If you trust yourself, if you've got self-belief that you're the best option for the prospect, then really no can't be an option. And this comes back into your follow-up and all this stuff. As I say, this stuff all ties in together. And the last thing here is you've got to understand your audience, and you've got to love them, right? You've got to know who you're dealing with, and you've got to really desire to see them succeed. You've got to have a real heart for their success, because if you don't, they're not going to succeed. Now, I was a music teacher for a number of years, and during that time of teaching music, I realized that the student will never progress beyond the level of concern that the teacher has for them. So if you don't care about your student, they're not going to get very good. If you care about your student a lot, the level of achievement that they achieve is going to be proportional to how much you care. So you've got to work with an audience that you care about. You've got to love your audience. You've got to really desire to see them get good results. And if you don't, if you're just in it for the money, if you're just in it for whatever, then it's going to be tough, right? You've got to care about what you're doing. You've got to care about the people you're doing it for, and you've really got to have a heart for them, and you've really got to love them. So that's it. That's how I scale a business quickly, and how I've seen a lot of people do it, and how I've done it multiple times, right? So again, we're going to leave this just for a second. So some final thoughts here, and we'll wrap it up. You want to read every day. You want to write every day. That's very, very important. Your copywriting skills are critical to your business. Your business is not going to grow beyond your ability to write copy. Or of course you can hire somebody to write copy for you, but somebody who's competent is going to cost you tens and tens of thousands of dollars, and they're going to want a piece of your business as well, to be perfectly honest with you. So you need to learn how to write copy, and the way you do that is you write every day, and you've got to read every day as well. If you want to be a great writer, you've got to be a great reader. There's no way around that. And there's definitely a proven correlation between the amount people read and the income that they earn. So you want to read every day, you want to write every day. And then this last part here, I'm just going to delete that because we're about out of time. So hopefully everybody, that really has given you some ideas as to the mindset that you need when approaching generating clients. And if you can adopt this mindset, then you're going to do really well for yourself. So watch this video again, really try to internalize some of the stuff, because the stuff that I've shared with you here, it really is the key to success. And if you can take the mindset and positioning stuff that I've given you today, and you can apply it to the trainings that we've got coming up, where I'm actually going to show you how to get into the marketplace. So today is kind of like the mindset, and the next few days is going to be actual strategy, actual techniques, actual buttons to push. If you can bring all this stuff together and marry it together, then there's no reason that you can't get really, really fantastic results in your own business. Now, I'm always hesitant to promise results, because to be perfectly honest, I have no idea what results you're going to get. I don't know who you are, I don't know where you are, I don't know how determined you are to get the results. So I'm not going to say, well, you can get $50,000 a month of recurring revenue in the next 4 months, because I don't know if you can or not. It's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. I've done it, and I've seen many people that I've worked with do it as well. But regardless of the result, look, if you can add an extra $10,000 a month in recurring revenue into your business in the next 4 months, and that is very, very possible. That's a very realistic expectation. Isn't that going to be a great thing? Isn't that going to be a wonderful thing? So this is a lot of work. I understand that. This is a lot of information. I understand that. But hey, if you want to get paid the best, you've got to be the best. And if you want to be the best, you've got to put the time in. There's no two ways around that. So hopefully you got a lot out of this training. Like I say, support at CodyButler.com. If you've got any questions, I'll be happy to help you. And I'll see you tomorrow in another training. Check your email for that. And we're going to go into some more detail about how to actually put this stuff to work. Thank you, and I'll see you then.